Now, for our next story that we have here, I just want to go and give you all a quick reminder of one of the previous stories that I've talked about in the last episode, where we took a look at the trailer for the upcoming Despicable Me 4, especially with the fact that Will Ferrell will be among the cast as a new villain called Maxime Lamal. And that was one thing that really got trending, and it got a lot of people talking about. Oh, and by the way, thank you for that subscription right there. Son of Nun 92. Thank you very much. But as I was saying, yes. Now, it really got trending, and it got a lot of people's attention because in one movie, we are going to see Gru and Megamind face off each other. Despite the fact that, well, technically Will Ferrell is not really Megamind per se. But that doesn't mean that this year we are not going to see Megamind, because for quite a while, we have been promised by DreamWorks Animation that we would legitimately see the return of the beloved supervillain, or supervillain turned superhero. And we finally did get the result of that, and not only would we be getting a Megamind series, but also a full-on sequel to Megamind. But is it really the sequel that we asked for? Well, with that said, let's go and take a look at the upcoming, at the trailer for the upcoming Peacock exclusive sequel, Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate.
Hello, loyal viewers. For those who are just joining us, that's me.
Yes, folks, that was Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate, in which it also promotes the series Megamind Rules, both of which are going to be coming out exclusively on Peacock on March 1st. And there is one thing I'd like to go and point out. As I am recording this, if you take a look at the like and dislike ratio, oh dear, yeah, it is not well liked. So far, we see that it has gathered 5,600 likes, in contrast to 57,000 dislikes. So yeah, it did not make a good first impression. And just by looking at this, I just gotta go and ask, what the fridge happened? Where the fridge do I begin with this whole thing? Because, oh dear lord, this, I think it's safe to say this is a downgrade from the 2010 movie. And I mean, yeah, like, I'll just say now that, yes, there are some things to be expected that maybe the quality will not reach the same kind of standard as the 2010 feature. Like, yeah. We would expect that the animation is not as spectacular as in the movie, or that not all the voices are going to be returning, or that none of the voices would be coming back. I mean, it's pretty obvious that neither Will Ferrell, nor Tina Fey, nor David Cross are coming back to go to reprise their roles in this. But here, however, oh dear, like, wow, I just gotta say, I am shocked that we are seeing a DreamWorks project getting this amount of hate, because slowly but surely we are seeing a bit of a comeback, or at least in terms of fan reception with DreamWorks Animation. That is especially the case in the last 2 years, where we see with The Bad Guys and Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, and shockingly enough, apparently Trolls made some kind of fanfare rebound for reasons I cannot explain. I've already expressed that I am not a fan of the movies, and I did not like that third film whatsoever. I still stand by that it is the worst animated movie of 2023. But still, though, people are starting to show some love for DreamWorks Animation again. But then this Megamind project came in, and oh boy, did it fell down. It just, like, crashed and burned. So where did it go wrong here? So let's just take the steps to see, like, where exactly did things go bad. Like, number one, I might as well go with the animation first and foremost, because that's probably the one thing that really got a lot of hate. And like, one thing that I will say is a massive mistake is when the trailer showed clips of the original movie. Like, you would have like this little part right over here.
It's me, Megamind, master of all villainy, until I realized my destiny was to be a superhero.
Okay, like, we see those clips and I mean, this is awesome animation. This looks great. You know, we see Megamind being himself, the showing all that swagger, like finally having his day where he would go and save Roxanne Ritchie or like be the bad guy taking over Metro City and stuff like that. Like, this is actually really good. But then suddenly you get this. What the fridge is this? And I'm not gonna lie, like, one thing that I would say is that this right over here feels lifeless. The thing is with this animation is that there's something about it that feels like the characters don't necessarily have life in their eyes. They just look completely soulless. That and especially with the way that the characters would go and move, even if they would go and create these Despicable Me style creative villains, that honestly, there's just something about them that it doesn't feel like that they work out. It doesn't feel like there's much of a personality that they're even expressing in the first place. And apparently there seems to be one explanation for it. Now, I don't know if it's 100% true, but I have heard allegations that not only was this done outside of DreamWorks Animation, that DreamWorks and Universal had the animation outsourced for this, which, okay, that's perfectly fine. That's not necessarily a problem at all. But apparently, the production was extremely rushed. That one example that the allegations provided was that apparently the people who worked on this sequel movie or on the series, what they had to do was that NBC Universal was asking them to create 30 seconds of animation from scratch, fully completed in just 1 week. And if you know about the process of animation, that is next to impossible. Or it can be done, but you have to desperately take a lot of shortcuts. And honestly, that's exactly how this feels. An entirely rushed production where the animators had no time to go and just truly define their work, to go and like make sure that all this looks okay, or that all this can look good, or at least reach a certain level to where the original Megamind is. They just don't have the time, or not even the budget, I would even say. Like I know there, a lot of people would go and have the discussion about, oh, well, you gotta, when it comes to making stuff like this, that you have to go, you cannot go and put in like a stupidly huge budget, or else you'll run the risk of making a massive failure, which unfortunately we have seen Disney lately do, where they would put $200 million on their budget and it ended up not returning a profit because, well, they put way too much of the budget in the first place, making it next to impossible to go and actually find a profit. But the opposite is also true, that if you barely give them much of a budget in the first place, then the animators and the filmmakers, they're not going to have much to work with. And I think this is a case where it is the opposite, where not only do they not have the time, but they don't necessarily have the budget to go and actually make something that would actually that would actually polish their animation, and everything about it just looks rushed. And I would have to say the worst moment of the animation is actually just one quick moment, and you wouldn't necessarily think much, but it's like where was it? It's right over here. So yeah, like you see Roxanne reaching. Okay, it's this part. I want you to go and pay attention, because you see Roxanne and Megamind that they're using some silly contraption that shoots out tennis balls. But apparently, this machine right over here has some kind of strange magic. They don't just shoot out tennis balls, they make tennis balls magically appear. And I'm just going to go frame by frame, so you will see. You know, like, it's just gonna slowly, whoop, oh, you see that? Just like, look at Roxanne, like, whoop, oh, there's a tennis ball, whoop, oh, Megamind just had another tennis ball, you see, like, whoop, and then just one more, okay, let's see one more, whoop. It's just crazy, like, you don't see the action of the ball being shooed out, it's just the ball just magically showing up from the machine. You know, it's one of those little things that for me, I look at it and I'm like, oh my God, like, you didn't even try. And just by looking at it, it feels like all the tennis balls just look the same. Like maybe they have different lighting, but it's just like, I don't know, just from these images, like the way they're being handled, they look like JPEGs of tennis balls. So not only do they just pop up, but they're just flat images. Like, I know this is like a little nitpicky thing, but it really does highlight the poor quality of the animation that they are displaying here. But then there's also the factor, of course, with the voice actors. And honestly, I'm just going to state right now, I have nothing against the voice actors. And honestly, I can hear that they are doing what they can to go and try to put on a show. And specifically, I do have my source here on Animation Magazine, in which they actually did reveal who the cast is. And this is, by the way, for both Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate and Megamind Rules, in which we got Keith Ferguson, who's going to be playing Megamind. You got Laura Post, who's going to be playing Roxanne Ritchie. You got Josh Brenner, who's now going to be Old Chum, which I'm guessing this is Old Chum right over here. I mean, they can no longer call him Minion for obvious reasons, so I guess that's going to be his new name. But on top of that, we also got some others and some familiar names as well. Like you got Maya Atoki Toodle, who's now going to be one of the new main characters, Kiko Morita, right over here, like the little Asian girl who fanboys over Megamind, or fangirls over Megamind. Then you got Emily Toonin, you got Talon Warburton, you got Scott Adsit, whom you probably know as Baymax in Big Hero 6. You got Chris Sullivan, you got Tony Hale, I mean, you're probably familiar with Tony Hale, Jeannie Mason, and of course, Adam Lambert. So you got a pretty impressive cast over here, and I've already mentioned, yeah, like with something like this, it is to be expected that maybe not the original actors are going to be coming back, but still though, one thing I gotta say, and like probably the most prominent voice, is Keith Ferguson. And I understand why they would go and hire the guy to go and play as Megamind in here, considering that along with being a prominent voice actor, he is also a prominent impersonator. He is actually one of the regulars in Robot Chicken, where he would do a whole bunch of different impressions of different pop culture figures. So I get it that you would go and hire him in the hopes that he'll try to go and provide a good impression that sounds like Megamind. But I don't know about you, but it doesn't really work out. And that is especially with the fact that we are talking about a character who is voiced by Will Ferrell. And Will Ferrell has a very distinct voice. Maybe he's not the most versatile with his voice, but he is the kind that when you hear it, it's easily recognizable. And on top of that, he's also a great actor who is able to go and morph his characters to become very credible and play well with them, where you can actually believe the character, even though his voice is like, it's easily recognizable that it is, of course, Will Ferrell. And that is especially the case with Megamind. I think he did a fantastic job playing the role of Megamind, where, yeah, you can hear a lot of Will Ferrell's his signature voice and his signature comedic style onto Megamind. But at the same time, he did so well portraying the character that you kind of get lost into the character in particular, where you do have that illusion that it's no longer Will Ferrell, it's actually Megamind. But in this case over here, when you listen to Keith Ferguson playing as Megamind, better put on the audio, that should be important.
Adorable in a pushy sort of way. Here's a souvenir. It's either a paperweight or a flash grenade, so careful with that.
I don't know. It's like, I think the best way to put it is that it's a little too different. I'm not going to go and slam his performance, but it just really does not sound like Will Ferrell whatsoever. And the difference, it just feels massively jarring. Like, maybe you would have to watch a little bit of the movie, or you would have to watch a bit more of the show so that you can get used to the fact that it is different than in the movie. But even at that, he would have to provide a great performance, not a good performance, a legitimate great performance that would make it acceptable that he doesn't sound like Will Ferrell. And honestly, that, like, considering the kind of impression that this is giving out, not many people are going to be open to that. So honestly, I would say overall, yeah, this really is one massive yikes. I can understand the backlash that went behind it. And yeah, it really just feels like a desperately rushed production for the purpose of trying to capitalize on the current, well, maybe not success, but the current trend of Megamind, of the fact that the character has become so popular now that NBC Universal just really wants to try to make a profit in the hopes that people would just jump in based on the name alone. But with how they with what they have done with the animation, with what they've done with the voice cast in terms of the casting itself, there's just nothing that's worth getting behind, especially for Megamind fans. I think they're the ones who are the most upset about this. So, yeah, honestly, I don't know if, I don't think I'm going to be planning to be watching any of these anytime soon. They feel like they're much more of a waste. And if I do want to go and return to Megamind, I'm just going to go back to the 2010 movie. So keep in mind, if you are morbidly curious about Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate and Megamind rules, then keep in mind that the series and the movie will be coming out exclusively on Peacock on March 1st. And you know what? I want to try my new little skill. I'm going to go and create a little poll. Like, you could go and write down your thoughts on the trailer, but I just want to go and quickly make a poll in which I want to go and ask you all, will you be watching the Megamind sequel and series? Oh, and by the way, just a bit of a side note, I just want to go and apologize. I know my keyboard here is very loud. It's technically meant for gaming, which is why, like, you hear a lot of the clickety clacks here. So I'll just put in yes, and then I'll just put in no. So you could go and start that. We'll go and start that poll and see how many people would go and vote. But anyways, back to the chat wall. Time to go into your thoughts here. I may be a fan of the first movie and enjoy the quote of Megamind saying "Olo," but all I could say to this trailer is why? Just why? I thought that this was a joke. I thought it would be something that it would be hyped, but unfortunately, that excitement has been crashed down easily. I would rather stick with Despicable Me 4 than just Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate and Megamind rules. Also, Keith Ferguson is the voice of Marluxia in the Kingdom Hearts games and Reaper from Overwatch. Oh yeah, like, I know that Keith Ferguson is a very admirable and very prolific voice actor. I got nothing but respect for the guy. It's just this right over here with Megamind is just not one of his highlights there. Let's see, what else do we have here? What other comments? I understand it's just a backdoor pilot to the series, so I shouldn't expect the quality of the first movie. But with that said, what the hell was that? The jokes are nowhere near sharp. The animation is a significant downgrade, and I don't know what that Megamind voice is, but I'll tell you one thing. It sure as hell ain't Will Ferrell. I'm likely going to skip and stick to watching Dune Part 2. At the very least, that one looks visually interesting. Yeah, you know, it's kind of weird because a lot of people would go and talk about, like, the 2010 movies, and they would all say that Megamind is a better film than Despicable Me. And even I'll have to admit, as much as I am a fan of the Despicable Me films, I do think that Megamind does have the slight upper edge. But this year, however, I think it's going to be the opposite. Say what you will about Despicable Me 4, but So far, it looks a lot more appealing than Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. Let's say now. Funny story. Let's say a person, that ain't me, decide to rewatch the movie after seeing the Despicable Me 4 trailer for nostalgic purposes. And then after he finished watching, he joked in and asked himself the question, this was a great film at the time. I wonder why they never made a sequel afterwards. Then a week later, this pops up, and it goes either the result of A, this isn't what I meant, or B, me and my big mouth. Despite it wasn't in mouth, it was a joke. I didn't think it was going to answer. Yeah, I mean, it honestly depends. Like, there are some people who think that maybe it would be worth it, maybe it won't, but yeah, it's just not, yeah, like, honestly, like I said before, this is a legitimate monkey's paw wish. This is someone holding up the monkey's paw and asking, I wish for a Megamind sequel and a Megamind series. That finger got curled and we ended up with the massive cringe that is Megamind versus the Doom Syndicate. Or at least that's what we are seeing in the trailer. Let's see now. Oh, and by the way, we do have a quick result here. Will you be watching the Megamind sequel and series? And apparently, the grand majority of you just said no. We do have 3 votes that said yes, but yeah, most of you just decided to say no. Fair enough. I don't blame you all. Let's see, what else do we have here? I watched Megamind in 2010 in theaters when I was 11 years old, and while it wasn't DreamWorks' best movie, it was a fun film to watch. I know people have been begging for years for a theatrical sequel, but yikes, this is not what people have been asking, and I have never seen this much backlash for a DreamWorks project for quite some time. It looks cheap for the animation, and the action scenes and the voice acting sounds nothing at all. Not a good first impression at all upon seeing this mess. Yeah, I mean, like, there may be that chance that maybe it could actually turn out to be pretty good. But then again, based on what we have just seen here, it's hard to imagine if there can be any benefits. If, like, maybe seeing the movie and the series itself can prove us wrong. But this doesn't look like it could be that kind of case. Let's see, what other comments would there be? Just want to double check. Lightning McQueen's replacement voice does not work at all. Keith Ferguson is doing his best, but I really like trailer voiceovers. But I feel like trailer voiceovers not only exist for lesser products or direct-to-video stuff like the Bobblehead movie and now here. I know DreamWorks and using whatever IP they own, but still, I feel bad for this. I'm not interested in seeing it, but I don't want to be mean. Then again, 30 seconds of animation in 1 week, that is awful. Yeah, it's just, this is one of those cases. If this is true, then it really shows that the production did not go well, and the result pretty much shows. Let's see, what other comments would there be? I see an interesting one. I might watch this new series. However, it feels like a very cheap direct-to-DVD sequel. Never forget Ice Age Buck Wild. That's actually a pilot to a TV series. What the fridge happened, Universal? You have severely underestimated all the fans alike, myself included. Megamind truly deserved better, like a theatrical sequel instead. Exactly, like, it's just so many things about it that feels like Universal or DreamWorks, they were very not careful. Like, as much as I don't like Trolls Band Together, at the very least, like, they were careful in making sure that the animation stays in the same quality as the previous films, and that they did bring in the main voice actors to play their roles, like bringing back Justin Timberlake as Branch, as Anna Kendrick as Poppy. At least they were able to do that, despite the little to no effort that was put onto the writing whatsoever. But in here, however, it looks like there was no time, there was no budget in order to put in any form of effort whatsoever, and it's just a desperate cash grab to go and capitalize on the popularity of Megamind. Alright, I think I'm going to read one more comment before we go into the next break. Let's see. I'm quite excited that Megamind is coming back, considering that I adore the first movie. But then the trailer came in and I gotta say, this is not my Megamind. What have they done to him? The animation is a big downgrade, Megamind's new voice is not the same, no offense, and everything else is just a mess. It's definitely a big example of what be careful what you wish for. Man, they did Megamind dirty. Yeah, exactly. And just to let you know, if you are morbidly curious to see what they have done to Megamind, then once again, it's going to be coming soon to Peacock on March 1st.